hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming along if you've just arrived, or for being here waiting for the next session if you heard my introduction. So it's panel time, and we're going to be talking about driving the digital transformation of India and Asia's travel industry. And I was just wondering whether that is any different to driving digital transformation anywhere else in the world. My thought number one. And thought number two we might explore is whether India is different to the rest of Asia or not, because it sounds as though we're bundling two very big land masses together. Quick show of hands, who thinks India shouldn't be lumped together with Asia? Actually, it's too big a land mass. Who thinks they should be lumped together? Who doesn't want to put their hands up? Okay, fine, that's fine. Let me introduce our speakers. And so sitting close to me here is Gaurav. Gaurav is CEO of Quad Labs. Gaurav, tell us what Quad Labs does.
So Quad Labs is a travel technology provider. We provide platforms for OTAs, TMCs, and tour operators. Primarily, our technology is used for procurement of content and then distribution to multiple channels. And so we try to automate the entire supply chain, in the travel industry.
How long have you been in business, Gaurav?
So Quad Lab is 13 years into being now.
Okay.
Myself, I've been in this industry for almost 20 years. Started back in '99, all the way
fine,
now.
Fine. Sitting next to Gaurav is Apurv. Apurv is Chief Revenue Officer at RateGain. If you're a hotel, RateGain will be a household name. If you're not, Apurv, you better explain what RateGain does for us.
So thank you, Paul. We are in the business of helping hotels and travel companies make more money every day. Basically, three product lines. First is frictionless distribution. So about 2 lakh hotels use us to distribute. Second is in the business of digital marketing, helping in travel and hospitality companies create brands and do performance marketing. And third is around revenue management and business intelligence.
Thank you, thank you. And then third is Ankush. Ankush is CEO and co-founder of Travel Boutique Online, which is a travel business, yes?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, are you working? Yeah.
Yes. So basically, TBO actually is a travel technology platform empowering almost 60,000 travel agents in more than 110 countries today, India being the biggest market. So what we're trying to do is to actually aggregate demand and supply through our platform. So I'm very happy that today, in our current status, we have been offering many products. Travel agent is our main business community, and that's the way we go forward. And I think I'm proud to say we're the only company left in the country today, at least in India, which is a B2B/B2A, which means back to agents.
Now, could you all hear Ankush all right? Have we got a microphone problem? Could you all hear okay? Yeah? Okay, fine. It's my problem. Okay, and last but not least, right at the other end here, let me walk over. We have Amit. Amit is President and Group Head IT and E-Business at Thomas Cook India. Now, Thomas Cook India we know very well. Tell us what you do in your role, though, Amit.
So most important thing is Thomas Cook India is different from Thomas Cook UK. So and we are owned by Fairfax, nothing to do with UK except the brand, and which we have for perpetuity now.
And I must say, Amit, it's so sad in the UK and Europe, the Thomas Cook brand is no longer with us. I'm glad you're still flying the Thomas Cook flag.
Yes.
Yep.
And Thomas Cook India is into various businesses apart from DMCs and the Forex business. We have a huge travel business, and which is divided into two parts. One is the corporate travel and the leisure travel. I head the IT for the entire group as well as the online business, which contributes almost 25% of our total turnover. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've got 4 great panelists here, and I'm going to be asking them questions, but I'd be very happy if you'd like to ask questions as well. If something comes up in mind, pop your hand up and we'll get a microphone, Tanya, or maybe you can get someone a microphone running around if necessary. That's lovely. Gaurav, maybe we should start with you because, as you say, you've been in the travel industry a long time, and we're talking about digital transformation. What do you think digital transformation is? I thought it might be an idea that we all agree what digital transformation is about. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, in my entire history of 20 years, I've seen, digital transformation is a ever-growing subject, and what I've seen in the industry, we try to automate various parts. So there was a time where the airlines, or rather the service providers, were trying to have technology so that their distribution was more efficient. So back in 2005-06, we saw a lot of airlines coming in and bringing technology for distribution. Then we saw the entire, revamp of technology in the distribution sector from the travel agent perspective. We saw the OTAs coming in and, connecting with these airlines and hotels and start selling to the people. We still need to see the transformation from a consumer point of view. There's a lot needs to be done, as you mentioned, about voice-based, AI-based access to content. So I think these are these phases, You started with the content and now it's about the consumer, that how we can create better technology, more efficient user interfaces so that the user is stuck to the technology or rather to a content provider and then, process a particular booking more efficiently. So I think it's been a phases which has gone through in the last 15, 20 years, I guess.
Okay, and Ankush, of course, your business is called Travel Boutique Online. So one would like to think that yours is already a digitally transformed business. Would that be a fair comment for me to make?
Absolutely right, Paul. So in the last 14 years since TBO was born, it's amazing in how progressive people have been, especially in the last 5 years, especially the travel agent fraternity, and I'll speak on their behalf, on how open they are to adopt new technologies. They keep asking us to add more products which are online. It's amazing in how the people are actually willing now to learn more about technology. I think in early 2005 when TBO was launched, for the first 5 years, it was very challenging for us to actually explain people the benefit and how it's going to make you survive going in the bigger world fighting the online players. But I think today it's amazing. I think the transformation on the digitized side has become extremely acceptable by the travel fraternity across India, even in smaller cities.
Okay, whereas Amit, of course, Thomas Cook India has been in business a long time. So I just wondered, when you see people like Ankush who started online businesses and being able to take a clean sheet approach, actually, do you have a really hard job because you're trying to take a traditional business and move it forward into the digital world? Is that tough?
So I don't think it is tough. So actually you have to go where the customers are going. So as the customer behavior changes, and that's how you have to activate your channels of distribution to engage with them. So I think digital transformation starts with customer in the mind, and it's more about once you start understanding the consumer, you have to change your mindset. And as you change your mindset, the culture of the organization changes. And as the culture of the organization changes, people start challenging the processes. So I think very important is it's not about automation. A lot of, I would say, my peers and a lot of people take automation as digital transformation. I think that is just scratch of the surface. So most important is the mindset change, culture change, and the process changes. You have to challenge the entire process. You have to rewrite the entire process to be a digital company. And that's very important. And obviously, it's a journey. It's not like it's like a 2-year project and you will be able to reach the milestone. So you will have to create various phases, and that's how the journey has to.
Is it a journey that has an end, or is it a journey, Amit, that just goes on forever and ever?
I don't think this journey has an end, because by the time you reach that end which you were envisaging, it's like a mirage. By the time you reach there, the goalpost has changed. So never before you thought about the voice distribution channel, and now voice is the thing which you have to start thinking. 5 years back, you never thought about voice channel. So again, it would be more and more. So TV, we don't think TV is a distribution channel as of now, but maybe in 2-3 years' time, TV itself, with the coming of Geo TV and fiber and all that, will become one of the distribution channels that you never thought about it. So I don't think it is a journey with an end goal. It's a journey. So you have to keep revisiting the process and the business as you reach that milestone.
Okay. Apurva, rate gain, and I suppose maybe Gaurav with Quad Labs to some extent, but let me stay with you. When we talk about digital transformation, we imagine people booking online, our consumers downloading our apps and the like, but actually what rate gain about is actually sitting behind the front end and actually delivering what travel companies need to work effectively behind the scenes. I just wonder from your perspective whether you think it might be more important to look at digital transformation. I don't want to use the word back office because that sounds like an accounting system, but behind the scenes rather than digital transformation at the front end where the websites and the apps might be. Is one more important than the other, or are they equally important? What are your thoughts on that?
So I'll give you two perspectives. For us, digital transformation has basically three large benefits. The first is simplification of experiences. Experiences could be internal. So if you're a hotel company supplying your product to travel agents, how do you simplify that experience? Or it could be end customer traveler experience. The second is driving empathy, and third is unexpected value. So any transformation project which does not offer simplicity, empathy, and unexpected value is not a digital project, because it's very easy to confuse, mundane, run the business, IT projects, and confuse them with digital transformation. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you think about digital enterprises, they're fundamentally silo-less enterprises. So digital is not only about technology. The way we view it is, it's also a cultural transformation. How do you get people to be more agile, nimble, do shorter projects? And we think, any project which does not deliver ROI in 90 days is a legacy project.
So, I mean, Apurva, that was an interesting point sorry, Ankush, that was an interesting point that Apurva just said about people. I just wonder whether with Travel Boutique Online being a fairly new business, how long have you been around for?
14 years.
40 years?
14.
4.
Oh, 14. Oh, that's a long time to have a business which says online at the end. So you must have been early in. So was it all about getting the people within your business to have a digital travel business mindset? Is that important?
Now, yes, but initially it was a big challenge because people didn't believe on what we were offering them. So I think the first 3 years were very challenging because we were trying to build everything on the tech platform and digitize it. But I think the acceptability for the initial years was very tough. But I think as a first mover and early in, today is a big advantage what we are actually witnessing. So everybody today is actually telling us, bring this, bring that on the system, rather than saying, can we do this offline? I think I think the mindset change has really worked in the last few years.
Okay, and Gaurav, just coming back to you from Quad Lab's point of view, you're putting technology into travel companies, and let's just explore this people aspect. I'll come to you in a minute, but let me mention a couple of stories. I've found when my job is helping travel companies find the right technology and implement them, something that you do with your technology, Gaurav. And I've found that there can be people in a travel business that actually kill a digital transformation or kill a technology project stone dead because they just can't grasp the fact that this technology is doing something new. I don't know, Gaurav, whether you found that or not.
So yes, I mean, to a certain extent, it's a simple fact that people do not want change. They don't want to shake their life the way they work. So when we talk about the offline sale market to the online sale market, we've been automating both parts of it. So in the offline sales, we tried doing a lot of automation at the point of sale level, how we bring more content closer to the travel executive who's selling the content to the consumer. And we have seen a huge pushback in that front because human thing, they're much better than, what is somebody is bringing to their, in front of them. But there is a way to transform it, as long as you can provide a 360-degree, functionality and content to an individual, whether he's a travel seller or a travel consumer. As long as you can provide these two aspects from all the angles, you will see adaptability happening. And that's where the biggest turnaround happens, when your adoption starts happening of a technology, then when you see a real transformation happening, because the after effects of technology, where you see cost savings, scalability, you see growth in numbers and the real ROI, that really happens after you cross that 50% adoption target.
Okay, Amit, how do you feel about that? Perhaps you can tell us some of your biggest challenges at Thomas Cook as you're moving the business forward into the digital world.
So let me start with, as we see travel, and with if somebody who's from outside the industry, they see travel and they see travel is like full tech led. I also came from outside the industry. 7 years back, before that, I was in insurance, finance sector. And I always thought that travel would be full of technology, like it's all the OTAs and GDS and everything is like integrated. But to my surprise, is actually travel is not tech led. So that was a big surprise and a shocker for me. Though things have changed a lot in the last 7 years, but there is a long way to go. So people still believe in the manual processes. People still believe a lot on people rather than the systems. So systems take a lot of time, and they've started winning that trust. But to win that trust was the most important thing. It's not about the technology working or not, but having the confidence on the technology. So people challenge remains the biggest challenge. I totally agree with Gaurav that things take time. There is a lot of resistance. But once people start seeing the actual benefits, then there is no stopping. So things start happening online. So just to give you an example, 2 years back we did the RPA project, robotic. So first time I think robotics was getting implemented in process automation in travel back office. There was a lot of resistance, but when people started seeing the proof case, which let's say a Recon or with airlines and all that, it takes you, you are always in a monthly mode. And then by putting a robotics, you are almost on a daily reconciliation, and then you see the benefits. I think those are the benefits which being shown to the management as well, the people, their bandwidth getting released, then mindset starts changing. So I think it is more about the people game, the culture game. Technology is all existing there. In fact, whatever is existing technology, if we are able to deploy, we will be almost, I would say, 90% achieve our target. The problem is not in availability of technology. Just on a lighter note, I would recommend or maybe give you a tip, because I sit in a lot of CIO forums also. If you are facing any difficulty in any project to get the funding from management, maybe you can tag digital transformation, it will help you.
Thank you for that. That's very useful. Apurv, Amit mentioned the word trust just now. And of course, part of what RateGain does is to deliver a lot of data, if I'm not mistaken. You will deliver competitor data and like of that. When you first sign up a client and you're starting to deliver the data, number one, do your clients trust your data, or do they go online checking to see if it's actually so? And number two, do you trust them to actually make good use of the data you're providing them? Just some thoughts on that.
That's a fully loaded question, I must say. So, our data is auditable because every piece of data comes with a screenshot of the consumer rate. So it's very easy for the client to validate. The second question, do we trust our clients to use the data? My experience, we are a SaaS company, is you will typically not renew your business if the clients are not using your data. Travel is a very, very wafer-thin margin business, unlike financial services. So people are very cautious about what do they continue spending every year. So by and large, our clients are very savvy. And then we, of course, consult them on how can they make more data-driven revenue management decisions.
Okay. And Ankush, just coming to you, can you talk about some of your challenges that you've had as you've been moving your business into the digital world?
I think the biggest challenge what we face is getting the right solutions or the pricing, to fight the big OTA world, because the travel agent fraternity depends on us on bringing this access with the right pricing and inventory, fighting the global and the Indian OTAs. it's not that, so my problem is a little different than the others. My adoption is not the problem here. The problem is competing with the finest technology being built in India as well as overseas. So that's where we need to actually be above the curve to ensure that we're able to deliver and the expectations of the travel fraternity fighting these large OTAs.
Okay. Part of digital transformation, gentlemen, is this new, the new world of AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning. And I touched on it in my introduction if you were here before. Maybe starting with you, Amit, I wonder whether Thomas Cook India is starting to apply artificial intelligence or machine learning to any of your digital transformation projects, if I can call them that.
So the moment you classify anything as artificial intelligence, you will find a lot of resistance, because naturally human intelligence, because it's competing with the human brains and you're competing. So obviously my observation would be very biased, because I am a human and I'm competing with artificial intelligence. I am more powerful. I have built you. So don't label anything as artificial intelligence is my first thing. There are so many things naturally we do which are AI led. So I would say RPA to start with, and all the recommendation engine that we get from various partners that we use. So depending upon the profile of the people, we recommend the kind of hotels that has to be recommended. It's nothing but artificial intelligence. It's how can you use it as an aid to the seller or the operations team is the secret sauce, and it has to be treated like that. It has not to be treated as competing with you. It is just to be treated as an assistance to you. And these are the things we are already using in our digital transformation projects. So customer profiling, lead, warm, cold, and so lead propensity modeling. It's nothing but artificial intelligence. But how is it helping? Is it helping the sales team to work better on the hot leads? Maybe the cold lead can get a lower priority. But if you can easily, till this time, it was left to the seller to classify the leads. Now you are labeling it and based on the propensity model, which is being driven by the artificial intelligence. So I think AI is already getting into the nerves. It's already being used, but it's not labeled as AI, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. I remember seeing a presentation by the chief revenue officer of a big tour operator. I won't tell you who it is, but their word began with T and ended with UI. And he was talking about the fabulous revenue management system that they'd built, and they spent big money building this. And this revenue management system was so complex that actually, and because revenue management in tour operating is much more complex than revenue management in hotels, you've got to worry about the flights as well as the hotels to actually maximize capacity. You'd understand, Amit. This new revenue management system was so complex, the revenue management department had no idea what decisions it was making, and they turned it off. So I like your thought that AI should be an aid to people rather than taking over from people. Gaurav, yes.
I would like to add, I would like to slightly differ, because I'll give you a case study what we did with one of our OTA customers in India. So yes, it's an aid to an individual, but if you can bring in a fully automated workflow, it can really help a business, and not only the business, the consumer as well. So the case study, so we actually used to take in stream of data from one of the GDS's Travelport, which used to give us the entire Indian search data. So anybody who's searching on Travelport, through any travel agency or any OTA, we used to get that content coming in within 15 seconds into our servers. So what we did, we wrote our algorithms to figure out the trend, that what are the people searching right now. And we used to pick up the trend for the last 2 hours and see how and what people are searching on the GDS. So the sectors like Delhi, Mumbai, Delhi, Goa, or whatever, international sectors. So our algorithms, what we were doing based upon those trends, we were automatically going and bidding on the Facebook and the Googles for those keywords for those sectors. So our algorithms were actually judging the trend, reacting to a trend by bidding on those platforms and increasing the discount percentages and suddenly the flow of traffic started coming onto our systems. So we ran this algorithm in test mode, on an A/B testing mode for approximately 15 days, and it actually became a mainstream product, and it is used today. So I'm giving you an example. I mean, that's how we play with data, and then make an intelligent script out of it, and then make it used to a public. So this is a very, very easy example that how you can really judge that how much to bid, what are the keywords to bid, and what is the trend of right now, trend of today. And these are some things which we can really expect from AI per se. I mean, AI is a word which is much larger. It's like an ocean. So you can really do a lot by bits and pieces. But everybody has their own businesses, whether you do, as Amit said, about figuring out a lead, whether it's hot or cold, or really figuring out the content which is selling more, or the destination which is hot for the day. So you can really sense that and then do a reactive marketing or possibly discounting to the market.
Okay, and Apurv, at RateGain, are you starting to use artificial intelligence more? Let me just explain what artificial intelligence is for those who don't know. I suppose it's the tell me if I get it wrong. It's the I see it as the application of data into a computer system which is a bit like a machine, and this computer system, they call it machine learning, is starting to understand and use the data and actually massage the data using algorithms and improve the way that it deals with the data to give better and better outcomes. That sounds like a lousy definition. Can any of you define it better than that? Will that do?
I think if a machine can do what as humans we are doing,
yes,
it's a very simple answer of artificial intelligence.
Thank you. That's very simple. Why didn't I just say that? So Apurv, so tell us about the use of AI within RateGain.
So we built a data sciences team 4 years ago, and the initial experiments were very fledgling because we were also learning. And then in the last 4 years, we've ended up working with some very big package operators. So we work with Apple Leisure Group, we work with Finnair Vacations, where we actually drive revenue management. And I'll take the example a little further. When you first roll out a cognitive revenue management platform, there is a lot of resistance because people don't trust the recommendation. They're like, I've been working on charters and packages for Caribbean for 20 years. How can the machine know more than me? And they typically end up overriding the recommendations. So the system has to be smart enough to run A/B tests and report the ROI back and say, in a test and control fashion, the control group ended up outperforming the test group. So how do you, or vice versa, right? The second thing is, on the user screen, on the UX, can you show data points which reinforce the recommendation you're making? So we look at more than 90 variables. So the battery life on a phone, the competitive prices, weather, events, social sentiments around the hotel, micro events, and all that goes into the NLP, MLAI based engine to do the pricing for packages. And package pricing is very complex because you're not comparing the same aircraft to the same aircraft, same hotel, same room type, exclusions. So we've become pretty sophisticated over the last 4 years, and a lot of companies are using us. Biggest thing remains, how do you build trust in your recommendations? It's not, so there is a McKinsey study, and maybe you've read it, which says that travel and hospitality is 38th out of 40 least digitized industries. The last two are agriculture and forestry. Right? We are in this industry, so we think it's massively digitized. But there is a McKinsey Gartner study which says this is the 38th least industry. So if you want to drive digital there, you need to reinforce whatever you are doing with data to back the intuitive judgment which people are making.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, have any of you got any questions at all that you'd like to ask the panel? Yes, so could we have a microphone just here, please? Thank you. And what would be very helpful when you ask your question, would you mind telling us who you are and the company you're from? Because it puts your question into context. Stand up so everyone can see you.
No, I'll sit down, thank you.
Okay.
Carl Jones, SAP Concur. I'd be curious.
Hold that nice and close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carl Jones, SAP Concur. I'd be curious to understand the panelists' view on, we've talked about data a lot, the next few years in India and data privacy. How do you see that happening and developing over the next 2-3 years? And that's to all the panelists.
Ankush, would you like to start? You haven't spoken for a while? Yeah.
Should have been paying attention.
Maybe I'll
Oh, well,
Paraphrase,
yeah, so the question was, let me just repeat the question. I think it was about data and data privacy.
Yeah, how do you see the evolution of data privacy in India for the
because,
next few years?
certainly in the UK and Europe, or we're not part of Europe anymore, but never mind, we have the GDPR rules, the General Data Protection Regulation. Yeah, that's right, which is really restricting companies and what they can do with data. Who'd like to start on that one? Yeah, Amit, yeah.
So obviously, data privacy bill is in the pipeline. The draft is already released, and it is largely on the lines of GDPR. So it is no different. So we started our project. So as far as Thomas Cook is concerned, 2 years back on implementing GDPR, and I think largely the DPC takes care of most of the things that we have implemented with the GDPR. It takes care of DPC also. So but to give you an India's perspective, rather than just going on the technical books and what GDPR is specify, I think India is very relaxed as far as data is concerned. As a consumer also, we are quite, I would say, relaxed in sharing our data and very easily. Whether somebody asked us a copy of a passport or a copy of an Aadhaar, as long as it is required and it is written there, okay, you need to submit, we will submit without even questioning. So from that perspective, accessibility of data is not an issue, but the misuse of data is an issue. And that right now, a lot of thing is dependent upon the custodian of the data. As a custodian of the data, do I want to misuse the data? Do I want to sell the data, or I'm monetizing the data better? These are the things, self-controlled way that we are implementing, and most of the, I would say, travel fraternity is maintaining. But coming with the bill, obviously it will put a lot of regulation also as well. How are we collecting? Where are we storing? Is the data center lying in India? Right now we don't bother. So wherever the data center in the world rises. But with the bill coming in, a lot of these new things will start happening. And to create that infrastructure, already government has initiated, even the last budget on the data center, the incentive to set up data centers in India is one in that direction. Because if all the data has to stay in India, obviously you need that kind of huge data centers to store that. Coming back from the consumer side, I think consumers are becoming more and more aware that sharing of data and why should I share the data. With the DPC bill coming into implementation, obviously consumer awareness will increase further, and they will start questioning, why are you asking me this? And if you ask me this, I've already started seeing on some of the sites, whether do you want, especially the international ones, you are sharing that email ID, do you want us to contact through email ID only, or you want phone? So you will have various layers of, rather than just a simple tick mark of terms and conditions and just you tick a TNC and you get access to everything. That will change. We will get more granular in what we are collecting and how we are storing and how we are using. That's from my side.
I mean, data is an interesting subject because it's very much a cultural and generational thing. I find, coming from the UK, that I feel that in Germany, people are more concerned about data privacy than we are in the UK. And also, I find that younger people are less concerned about their use of data as long as their data is being used for their benefit. And that actually comes back to my first presentation when I talked about easy is the new loyalty. Yes, you have a question here. Can we have the microphone just come round? Or yeah, pass it down because everyone's fallen asleep. Yep. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mayur from Be Happy Trips. We have discussed about AI and UX most of the time. These are the very high level of technology, I think. I would like to request Collabs to explain the basic starting steps. If you could just break down, what are the starting steps that we have to take, as most of the travel agents are not reached that level what we have been discussing. Anything if you could guide about that, the starting stage of digital transformation?
I think that's a great question, and that was the next one I was going to ask, so thank you so much for putting that forward. Just put that in context. We're talking about digital transformation, but where do you begin? And before we all came up on stage, a nice lady just spoke to me and said, I want to learn about what we should be doing in our business in the world of technology. Where do we begin? How do we start with digital transformation? It mustn't be something up there, which you're used to, but be something down here we can grasp. So I think, Gaurav, let's move across to 4 of you and just see what you've got to say about that. So Gaurav, where does one start? You know you need to do something better with your business on technology. How do you begin?
So again, I would like to reiterate that data is everything. Your AI, BIs, all these things are like terminologies. Once you have your data intact in a database, you can do a lot of things tomorrow. So the starting point is having your customer data in one database, or your leads which comes in, whether it's inquiry or whether it's a converted bookings. So you should have your inquiries and transactions in a database. A database could be an Excel sheet, right? It could be any kind of a database, could be any technology. As long as you start putting all your data together and comparing that data with the market data, or rather having a bigger set of data, that's always a starting point. Then making meanings or taking out meanings out of that data is a very easy subject. Once you have that data, I'm sure you can yourself play with your Excel sheets and see the trends which are going on. And that's what intelligence is. Artificial is where, instead of you, a computer script is doing the same thing. So if you've seen a layman terms, it's always one starting point is start collecting your data. And that's what I tell all of my customers, even the smallest customers. And I'm seeing even a lot of places, companies who are 30, 40 years old, they don't track their inquiries coming in. That's all lying in emails or different sheets, piece of paper. So as long as you can combine, consolidate, and put all of them in one database, I'm sure a lot can be done after that.
So that's a good starting point. Apurv, any thoughts?
So, what I would advise you is look at the customer journey, identify which are the friction points which exist. Always start with the customer, right? Once you've identified the friction points, figure out if technology can play a role. It could be very high tech, it could be low tech. Once you've identified the role which technology can play, prioritize the projects according to time, effort, and dollar impact created. You will find some quick wins, and that's what you should go after.
So, and by a customer journey, it's not something mythical. It's actually writing down on paper or doing a diagram of each interaction you have with your customer,
You can
whether it's physical, verbal, on the phone, whatever it might be.
So you can actually use Post-its, take a room, and create a journey map at a L3, L4 level.
Ankush, any thoughts?
So to answer your point, what Apurv and Gaurav just mentioned, we are doing it on your behalf anyway, right? Because what we are doing with your data now and whatever patterns we see is what we are trying to do at our office to actually optimize revenues for yourself and for ourselves, right? So whether it's a hotel or an airline, with the last so many years, we know what is happening at what time and during what months, with what airline, with what hotel, with what destination. So everything what they both mentioned is something we are doing at our room, and we just started 8 months back, early days, but you will see this being rolled out for you to make more money and keep this headache away. Just own your customer. Let's let a company like ours do the same.
And Amit, some nice hands-on advice from you?
Yeah, my sincere advice would be don't copy anything from the travel industry. So first relook at from the customer point of view and see what the customer experience in the entire life cycle, right from the day he generated a lead or called you or maybe visited your branch.
And that's the customer journey, isn't it?
That's the customer journey, and from the point of when he actually took the vouchers from you, then left for the destination, came back. So just map this journey and just think that what would maybe Uber or Amazon would have done if they had to do this. So one thing which I try to actually put it in my team, and whenever we are relooking at the process, we actually put a question, what will Jeff do? If Jeff had to do this or redefine this process, what will he do? And that maybe will start giving you a lot of answers.
Okay, and thank you. We've got time for just one more quick question, then we have to wrap up. Thank you.
Sir, can you recommend small...
Hold it very close, please.
Hi, this is Amit from Paraspar Services, Belgaum. Can you recommend certain small softwares which could be used by retailers, basically, for generating end-to-end from lead to basically closure of sales?
So you want the gentleman here to recommend actual companies you should be
basic
talking to?
softwares or anything which could be of help to the smaller...
So, like there are multiple softwares in the market. I mean, it depends upon the price range and the volume of customers you are talking about. So there are like amazing CRM systems like Freshdesk or Zoho, where you can start with and start collecting your data at the customer inquiry and the database level, and of course take it to the transactional level as well. And if you're looking for high-end solutions for high volume customers, then talk to us. And of course, there are other technology companies.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be closing here, but maybe I'll have the last word. Digital transformation is really about two things to think about in your business. One of them is the efficiency of your business, how well it's working. Is it a well-oiled machine? Where are you slowing down? Where have you got too many manual processes? And the effectiveness of your business, how well is it reaching your customers and interacting with your customers? If you can get those two things right, and maybe apply some technology to doing that, then you're in the business of digital transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank the panelists, Gaurav, Apurv, Ankush, and Amit very much indeed for a great session. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.